26th of December 1963, a sacred relic went missing from the Hazrat Bal shrine in Srinagar. The next day, the news leaked out, and all hell broke loose in the Kashmir Valley. The relic, believed to be the hair from the head of Prophet Muhammad, had been stolen. Crowds went on a rampage in Srinagar. Cinema halls and property were torched. People wailed in the streets. The law and order machinery was paralyzed, and curfew had to be imposed. A week later, the relic reappeared at the Hazrat Bal shrine itself, as mysteriously as it had disappeared. But that did not quell the anguish of the Kashmiri people. Theories about politically motivated conspiracies circulated everywhere, and many doubted the authenticity of the returned relic. Throughout January, tension continued to mount in Srinagar. The incident brought the Muslim clergy into the political scene, and a Holy Relic Committee was organized which had both the clergy and politicians as members. Calm was restored in February 1964 when a special verification ceremony established that what had been recovered was truly the missing relic. But with the Holy Relic crisis having blown over, the committee virtually became a secessionist political platform, much to the delight of leaders in Pakistan. Educated in Berkeley and Oxford, a young charismatic leader from Sindh, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, took over as Foreign Minister of Pakistan on January 24, 1963. One of the first actions of Foreign Minister Bhutto had been to conclude the Sino-Pak boundary agreement, signed on 2nd March 1963. By the terms of the agreement, Pakistan ceded 5,180 square kilometers of Indian territory in Pak-occupied Kashmir to China. At that time, military dictator Field Marshal Ayub Khan was at the helm of affairs in Pakistan. Both Bhutto and Ayub were instrumental in drumming up passions over Kashmir to suit their political purpose. Across the border in India, 17 years after independence, a new Prime Minister had taken charge in June 1964. Lal Bahadur Sashtri had been chosen by the Congress Party for the top job after the death of Jawaharlal Nehru. Nobody had an inkling of the iron will that this outwardly diminutive man was to display in the days to come, least of all, the political masters of Pakistan. When passions were inflamed over the missing sacred relic in Hazrat Bal, Pakistan sensed an opportunity to drum up the Kashmir issue once again. Now, beyond moral support, Pakistan began helping the Secessionist Action Committee with money, material, and direction. Pakistan evolved a plan to use the Action Committee to spearhead an anti-India revolt in the valley. They called it
Operation Gibraltar. This was an operation where Pakistan had sent columns, heavily armed columns, along various routes into Kashmir to capture certain strategical objectives, mix with their local population, and support the main offensive.
When Operation Gibraltar was launched, to divert the Indian Army's attention away from Kashmir and to test their preparedness, Pakistan launched Operation Desert Hawk. Desert Hawk started in January 1965, with Pakistan claiming the Rann of Kutch in Gujarat as Pakistani territory. By April, the armies of India and Pakistan were involved in a full battle over the control of the old Kanjarkot fort. It was in this battle that Pakistan tested their newly acquired Patton tanks from the US. Both sides suffered losses till a ceasefire was mediated by the British Prime Minister, Harold Wilson, which took effect on April the 29th. But Pakistan's hostility, both along the international border and the ceasefire line continued unabated. The number of incidents on the ceasefire line in Kashmir reached an unprecedented level in May and June. In July and August, with winter snow having receded from the high mountain passes, the fighting intensified.
On 15th and 16th of May 1965, we counterattacked and captured 3 of the Pakistani posts.
On August 13th, Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Sashtri finally issued a stern warning to Pakistan in a radio broadcast, saying, "Force will be met with force."
तो एक सरकार के नाते हमारा क्या जवाब हो सकता है सिवाय इसके कि हम हथियारों का जवाब हथियारों से दें।
In August, the Indian Army began taking possession of mountain passes in Kargil, Uri and Titwal areas, through which Pakistan was pushing its invaders. On August 25th, the Indian Army launched an operation to take the most important Haji Pir Pass.
Haji Pir Pass is somewhere in the center, with the road running from Uri to Punch through Haji Pir. Now the capture of this bulge was of great tactical and strategical importance to the army as well as to our country.
After 2 days of intense fighting, they had taken Sunk, and Haji Pir Pass lay in front of them. Major Ranjit Dayal, with only a company of soldiers, climbed the difficult hillside carrying heavy loads by night. Leaving the leading platoon to engage and distract the enemy, Major Dayal took the rest of his men to the right, climbed the western shoulder of the pass, and then rained down on the enemy from the flank. The Pakistanis were completely surprised. They left their weapons and ran down the hill to escape. By 10:30 a.m. on August 28, one para had captured the pass.
By capturing this bulge, we would have captured, and which we did, the most massive dominating features in that area, which is Badori, Basauli, Sunk and point 8777.
For his gallantry and leadership in the battle, Major Ranjit Singh Dayal was awarded the Mahavir Chakra. Pakistan still did not heed Lal Bahadur Shastri's warning. They thought the situation was ripe to escalate Operation Gibraltar and move on to the third phase of their plan, Operation Grand Slam. Its objective was to cut off all of Jammu and Kashmir north of Jammu town. They planned a surgical strike through the Chamb-Akhnur sector, aiming for the all-important Jammu-Srinagar road, which ran closest to the Pakistan border in this region. Pakistan launched their attack in the early hours of September the 1st, 1965. At 3:45 a.m., Pakistan began shelling Indian Army positions in Chamb. Then, 70 tanks and 2 Pakistani brigades rolled over the international border. The Pakistani objective was Akhnur Bridge over the river Chenab to cut off supply lines between Punjab and Kashmir. The bridge connected Jammu with Rajouri and Punch, and to the east lay the bigger target of the Jammu-Srinagar highway. The Chief of Army Staff, General G.N. Chaudhary, was in Srinagar and called up Prime Minister Sastri in Delhi to brief him on the situation. Later that evening, in Delhi, General Chaudhary told the Prime Minister that available resources of the army in the field would not be able to halt the Pakistani thrust.